Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad. Alright, got all your hoes mad jokes out of here before the video even begins. Now, let's have an actual discussion. So, on January 16th, we had another Smash Direct sort of thing, where they revealed the final character in the fighter roster, the fighter pack, and it turned out to be another Fire Emblem character. That makes 8 Fire Emblem characters now. To put that into perspective, that's tied for the same amount of characters as there are in Pokemon. So that's a lot of attention given to one franchise. That comparison wasn't really brought up to defend Fire Emblem, it was more to just put it into perspective. I think that just 10 seconds of basic critical thinking would deduce that Pokemon makes way more money and is just way more recognizable and a much more lucrative franchise than any other franchise that's in Smash, or even in general, it's the most lucrative franchise of all time. So Fire Emblem having the same amount of characters as the most lucrative franchise is pretty crazy. Alright, now let's get into the actual discussion. What do I think of Byleth? Should they be in the game? And are there too many Fire Emblem characters? Now, before we even get to this discussion, I want to make sure everyone knows that I am not ungrateful for what Sakurai has done in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We could have never had any DLC characters and I would have been satisfied. Honestly, I was satisfied even in Smash 4. And I don't think anyone else is really ungrateful either, they're just upset. People expected something big for the last character reveal and they got something that they didn't like. That's all it really is, I feel. Especially considering this was the last character. Like, a lot of people told me, I made a tweet about this, a lot of people said that if he wasn't the last character that no one would have really been that upset. Maybe there would have been some people that were upset, but the outrage wouldn't be nearly as powerful as it is right now. We paid for the fighter pass and we're dissatisfied with the product that we got. I think that's all it really is. They're just dissatisfied with the character. Like, hell, if they even left the fighter pass at 4 characters, I don't think anyone would be clamoring that we didn't get another character. Again, we were expecting something and we didn't get it. There's a difference between expecting something and not getting it, and not expecting anything to begin with, if that makes any sense. Now, am I personally satisfied with Byleth? Yeah, I guess. I believe any character that we get, I'd be satisfied with because there's just so many characters already. And now, do I think Fire Emblem deserves this many characters? I already made a video on this, on why it kind of is this way. I'll link that in the description, but I don't really... Fire Emblem doesn't deserve this many characters, but it makes sense why they have them, and it makes sense why they added Byleth. Fire Emblem 3 Heroes is one of Nintendo's most lucrative games, and it makes sense why they would want to, have a character from that game. They even teased us about the amount of Fire Emblem characters that are in the game. They even had in the trailer, oh wow, another sword character? Like, Sakurai is clearly teasing us, he's prodding us, he's asking us to get mad at this. The main problem that I have is that this character was the last one they introduced from this fighter pack. I know there's another fighter pack, but you gotta finish this fighter pack with a bang, man. Like, they should have had mixed up Terry with this character, probably, and nobody would have been mad. I mean, not nobody would have been mad, but a lot less people would be upset if the order was different. Like, every other character we had in the fighter pack was a third-party character. That's Joker, that's Terry, that's Hero. And then the last one was a first-party character, and a first-party character that we already have tons of characters from that series. It's a very bad pick. If you wanted to not make people mad or minimize the amount of anger, I mean, people still would have been mad, of course, another Fire Emblem character, but they really shouldn't have been the last character. I think everyone can at least agree with this, or understand this position, that it shouldn't have been the last character. Fire Emblem already has a lot of characters, so making them the last character in the fighter pack it really just leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, myself included. Which brings me to kind of a broader discussion on Fire Emblem in general in Smash. We could talk about the Fire Emblem characters that should be in the game. Maybe Marth shouldn't be in the game, maybe Ike shouldn't be in the game, maybe Corrin shouldn't be in the game. We can talk here about all that, but the fact of the matter is they are all in the game. And a lot of them feel very similar to the template that Marth left in Melee. Marth and Roy were pretty much clones to begin with, and then Lucina is literally a clone of Marth. And then Chrom is a clone of Roy, so Chrom is like a clone of a clone character. Ike is also in the same art style and uses a sword, so people kind of think of them as similar characters, even though they aren't. Obviously, they're kind of, they're very different character archetypes, but people still feel like they're the same because the aesthetics are pretty similar. And of course, they use the same weapon. Robin and Corrin are pretty unique characters when it comes to the Fire Emblem series, but people are already saturated with the amount of Fire Emblem representation we already have. Yeah, I understand 2 of them are clones, but it still doesn't feel good to have 8 character slots taken up for Fire Emblem. I will admit that Byleth does seem kind of interesting. It doesn't really matter because people are so saturated with it. As explained in my last video, they have a character from like every single region of Fire Emblem games. A lot of the problem is that they feel very similar. Imagine instead of Incineroar and Greninja, we got Pikachu clones like Pikachu, Pichu, Plusle, Minun, Pachirisu, Dedenne, Emolga, etc. That's part of the problem with the Fire Emblem characters. They all look so similar, even if they play and feel differently. That's basically what I have to say for this subject, but I'm going to read some of your responses on Twitter. I like this comment from Sue, which builds off what I said before. I don't think this character should have been the last in the past, but I do think they should be in the game. Especially the way Sakurai and his team incorporated the lance, axe, and bow into the moveset. Smash hasn't fully repped a Fire Emblem character and his weapons in it. Byleth helps fix that. And that's a fair point, he probably should be in the game, and it looks like a lot of people, not just him, are saying that he's well incorporated into the game. It's just the timing as the last DLC fighter. Like Nori said, it's just really bad timing. It would have already been a toxic reaction, but to put him as the last character, I understand there's more characters coming, but you have to pay extra for those characters, and you kind of want to end off this Smash Direct, or not the Smash Direct, the Fighter Pass with the bang, which is why a lot of people expected Dante and all these other characters, but no, we got another Fire Emblem character as the last one. Now, not to paint everyone with a broad brush or however that metaphor is supposed to go, but everyone's kind of just echoing stuff I already said. But I think Speedbolt had one contrasting opinion that I feel is worth looking into. He says, to be honest, they could have done another character because I feel like Smash doesn't really need more Fire Emblem representation. And then he puts in brackets, especially not the Mario franchise. So I kind of want to settle on that point for a bit. Like, what if we got more reps in other franchises like Mario or Pokemon? Like, say we got Koopa Troopa and Shy Guy and Birdo in the game. I don't think people would be very mad. I mean, people want Gen 8 Pokemon. They're already expecting Gen 8 Pokemon for the next Fighter Pass. And people have wanted Waluigi since forever, so I don't think they'd be very mad. So then why Fire Emblem? It's not even close to Nintendo's most lucrative franchise. Yeah, Pokemon's owned by Game Freak and a lot of other stuff, but they own Mario, and Mario makes a lot more money than Fire Emblem does. I'm sure Koopa Troopa, Birdo, and Shy Guy are much more recognizable gaming figures than Byleth is. Now, this is partly my opinion, but I think they're not in the game because they wouldn't make as interesting of a moveset. Sakurai said he wasn't as concerned about characters who are recognizable, but more about characters who would make a cool moveset. And as critical as I've been of Sakurai for the past how many years now, like people think I hate Sakurai, I actually agree with this. A lot of the appeal of Smash is the characters that they add in, that is for sure. Like, I mean, I say this a lot, but Sonic is a very poorly designed character. He was clearly rushed into Brawl. But the fact that they had Mario and Sonic in a fighting game together probably boosted Brawl's sales up by quite a bit. Now, I brought up that example, but I don't think I really need to tell you that Smash makes a lot of Smash's appeal is from the characters that are in it. So people wanting other characters, more recognizable characters, more bigger gaming mascots, makes sense. That's a lot of the appeal of Smash. But I agree with Sakurai that we should be promoting an idea or an interesting game design element more than characters at the moment. And that's because it's simply better for the longevity of the game. I mean, I don't know this for sure, this is me just theory crafting, but Sakurai probably thinks that no matter what character they add, it's not really going to do anything to shock people, or maybe it'll shock people, but like it won't really do anything in the long run to help the game. Like maybe the sales wouldn't really go up anymore if they added some obscure character. Smash Ultimate is the best-selling fighting game, the best-selling game in the Smash franchise, and it's only been out for a year. I think that line tells us that Sakurai isn't as concerned with, you know, shocking people anymore. He's more about like facilitating an idea. And whatever character he feels can help promote that idea the best is one that he would want to add. That's just my own headcanon opinion anyways. I'm not sure. I'm not Sakurai. The DLC was given to Sakurai. Like, I don't think he chose these DLC characters. I don't know about the second pack, but for the first pack, I'm pretty sure he didn't choose any of the DLC characters. It was all Nintendo. But this thinking might explain why they have Sans and Cuphead as Mii costumes instead of actual characters. So yeah, that'll be it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this character down in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, peace. Let's be real here, the solution should be to make a Fire Emblem fighting game. Best of both worlds, right? Everyone's happy.